My Lords, I'd like to speak in favor of Amendment 23, which has my name as a supporter. My Lords, I spoke on this issue at committee stage of the bill. As we have now left the EU, we must outline what our priorities are as a nation, and protecting children online must be high on this list. Amendment 23 would offer significant protections for UK children online by effecting UK laws relating to online safety in future trade deals. I've been impressed by Her Majesty's government's ambitions and efforts to make the UK the safest place in the world to be online. I support the regulatory framework outlined in the government's response in December 2020 to the Online Harms White Paper, which is a groundbreaking in creating a new duty of care that will make companies take responsibility for the safety of their users. My Lords, I believe that this amendment is an important part of this new strategy and should be supported. As set out in Section 2A of the Amendment 23, international trade agreements must be consistent with other international treaties and domestic laws on the protection of children and other vulnerable groups using the internet. This would refer to treaties like the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, which recognizes the special safeguards children need in all aspects of their life, including protection from all forms of violence and the right to privacy. Section 2A could also refer to the Digital Economy Act 2017, which prevents under 18s in the UK from accessing pornography on the internet. During the pandemic, digital technologies have helped us to work and connect with loved ones, but they've also opened up greater risks for children. For instance, during the first lockdown, the Internet Watch Foundation and its industry partners blocked at least 8.8 billion attempts by UK internet users to access videos and images of children suffering sexual abuse. At the same time, research with the British Board of Film Classification shows that 47% of children and teens have seen content that they wished they hadn't seen during the lockdown. My Lords, the risks to children online are growing by the day, and we need to be proactive in tackling these harms and encouraging others to do so by supporting this amendment. At the committee stage, I was pleased that my noble friend, the Minister, said, we stand by our online harm commitments and nothing agreed as part of any trade deal will affect that. This is reassurance, and I do welcome his support. However, protecting children online is such an important issue, it needs to be guaranteed in legislation so that it is not accidentally traded away. This amendment will make sure this cannot happen by ensuring our online protections are a necessary requirement of any future trade deal. I know that at the committee stage, my old friend, the Minister, did say that our continuity program is consistent with existing international obligations as it seeks to replicate existing EU agreements, which are themselves fully compliant with such obligations on protecting young and vulnerable internet users. Although I welcome this continuity, my concern is with countries such as US, who may not have the same standard of protections as we do in the UK and also the EU. As has been mentioned previously, the trade agreement between US, Mexico, and Canada has effectively created a legal shield for tech companies in line with US domestic law. In this agreement, service providers are not liable for content on their platforms or the harm it may cause to the users. This fails to hold social media companies to account and risks protecting big tech firms over children online. Rather than just replicating existing legislation on online harms in future trade agreements, this amendment will also apply to updated or new legislation. For example, Section 2C of Amendment 23 refers to online protection provided for children in the UK that the Secretary of State considers necessary. This means that future legislation, such as the upcoming Online Harms Bill, will be protected in international trade agreements. My lords, the digital space is continually changing and growing at a rapid pace. I'm sure over the next few years, more legislation will be created for new technologies that we may not even know exist at the present moment. With this amendment, we'll make sure that protecting children goes hand in hand with technological innovation. At the committee stage, my Lord Friend the Minister reaffirmed the UK's commitment to international obligations on protecting young and vulnerable internet users. My Lords, I believe that supporting this amendment is the best way to strengthen this commitment and make it truly enforceable, as it means children online will be fully protected within future trade deals, regardless of the makeup of the negotiating team on the day. Data protection is also central to protecting children online, and Section 2B will ensure that age-appropriate design code is also properly honored. The Age Design Code came into force in September 2020 and is a code of practice that explains how online service providers can ensure that they appropriately safeguard children's personal data. Data is essentially the building blocks of the digital world and affects how we use it. Although data is important and useful, it can also be dangerous in exposing children to age-inappropriate content such as material on self-harm, sexual abuse, bullying, misinformation, and extremism. As data travels across borders, it is important that future international agreements are consistent with our leading online protections. In Clause 3 of the amendment, a child is defined as any person under the age of 18. This is consistent with existing UK law and the UN Convention on Rights of a Child. This is important as the age of a child differs between countries. For example, the US domestic consumer law has created a de facto age of adulthood online as 13. Well, Lords, I'm sure you will agree that a 14, 15, 16, and 17-year-old is still very much at a risk of sexual exploitation, misinformation, grooming, bullying, and harmful content online as a 13-year-old. For instance, in a survey by Ofcom and the Information Commissioner Office in 2019, 79% of 12 to 15-year-old internet users claimed that they had at least had one harmful experience in the past 12 months. It is important that this amendment is supported so that any person under the age of 18 can be protected, as even at 17, a young person is still developing and harmful experiences online can impact them for the rest of their lives. I applaud the government's use of digital technologies to power economic growth across the UK abroad. This is exciting, but we must exercise caution. To quote the Online Harms Bill white paper, and I quote, "We must be able to look parents in the eye and assure them that we are doing everything we can to protect their children from harm." My lords, by supporting this amendment, we are making a true commitment to create a safer digital world for our children.